Hello everybody, today I'm going to be restarting the TT-02RR racing upgrade series. And the first part I'm going to be doing is to rebuild both the front and the rear diffs. I'm going to be cleaning out the gears and refilling the rear with 3,000 weight shock oil and putting putty in the front diff, and I'll go through the reasoning for that. I have open in the back the instruction manual, which I have in storage somewhere and I can't find, and I actually prefer to have a digital version. I can zoom in, I can scroll pages, a little bit easier for me to access. I will put a link below to the Tamiya RC manual download page. So some of the tools I'm going to need today is just a regular Phillips head screwdriver. I may use an electric. I'm going to need a pair of needle nose pliers to get to a pin that's inside the diff. I may need to use a pair of needle nose pliers to take the shocks off to get to it. I have my nitro cleaner to clean the gears with, and I'm going to be putting them in this Racing small parts tool case to soak. Have some paper towels, so I'm ready to go. So first part you need to remove is actually this spur gear cover here, and I've already taken a few screws off and it's just going to come right off. What I like to do is to have a kind of one of these plastic cases handy, and anything I take off, I just pop it in there with the screws so I know they're all together. So it looks like there's 2 screws here that covers that's a diff cover, and there's 2 more screws there, and there's 2 screws. This is the shock tower, and there's 2 screws right there that I need to get to. But in order to get to those, I need to take the shocks off. Let me see if I can just get the shocks off this way from here. Okay, that's probably not the gentlest way to do it, but I got the job done. Let's see if I can do this side. All right, the shocks are off. My hand is fine. All right, let's see. So let me start by taking these 2 screws off. See if I can get to that one. One on the other side. Might be stripping that one. Just use a screwdriver. Let me use a screwdriver for that other side. Alright, let me put those screws away. All 4 of these were in the, let's see if they're the same size. I always have the manual anyway, so if I can't remember which screw goes where, I can always refer to the manual. I put those away. Let's see if I can get to those 2 screws in the bottom and the front there. I should be able to. All right, there's one. And I'm hoping this whole cover, along with the tower and the arms, come off together. Let's see. All right, looks like I got the diff cover off. Oh, happy days. Look at this. I am able to lift out the diff without having to detach the arms. At least it appears that I can. Maybe not. I think the dog bones are in the way. No worries. I just have to detach, I think, just one side of this. Let's see. How does that come together? There's screws on this side. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I probably have to take this off. Yep. And that's just the tower. How would I remove the arm? Well, okay. Looks like I'm going to have to take this screw off. This one, I'll take off the top pin. Take off the top pin to the arm right there. And I should be able to twist out the diff. So let me do that. I need to swap these knuckles anyway. Turns out I built this kit wrong in the beginning. And I had toe out. Alright, let's see if I can get this done now. Alright, there's one. There's two. Alright. So here is the rear diff. I think they're identical. So to add to a degree of difficulty, I'm going to need to disassemble the whole thing. I was hoping to just take the gears out and dunk them, but there's a pin in there that holds onto this bearing. So I'm going to need to take everything out and rebuild it completely, but it's not a big deal. So let me get a paper towel, and I'm probably going to have to hand wash this sun gear on the outside because it looks like it's too big for that racing case. All right, let's put that aside. So I got the front diff out. Just for now, I'm going to put this pin back so I don't lose any parts. And put away the dog bones. I don't want to lose those. And for now, let me put this pin back. So more or less it stays intact. Alrighty. So I got the rear diff. With the rear diff out, I can take out the spare gear already, but I don't need to. So this is a TT-02RR kit, and it already came with the high-speed gear set. I didn't need to buy that, but I wanted to show everyone who may not have the TT-02RR version that you will need to purchase that if you want to run at a higher final drive ratio. All right, I got all the screws together in the back. I think the front's going to be a little bit more complicated. I'm probably going to have to take off the bumper, but I will try not to at first. Yeah, I'm going to need to because I can't take those shocks off without taking off that bumper cover. All right, let me take those two off. And so far, I think we're just using the same screw over and over again. So I will keep them apart, but I don't think it's going to be too hard to figure out what screw goes where. All right, take the bumper. And let's see if I can get this shock out. There's one. This one doesn't want to come out. Let's see if I can use the pliers. All right, there you go. Okay, I see the same screws. Let me take these two off on top first. to the screws, and I got 4. That's actually holding the diff cover. Let's go ahead and take those off. It's very possible that I didn't need to remove those 2 screws, but what the heck, I already did. And these, let me see if I can show that a little bit better. This cover, I'm hoping I can just lift this up and get access to the diff and just remove a pin like I did on the other side and the back, and take out the diff. Okay, I'm able to lift it. The front is a little bit different than the rear, and I'm not going to be able to lift it. Let's see. I'm pretty much going to have to rebuild the whole car, so I don't mind taking off a part here and a part there. Let's see. How does this attach? I'm thinking if I take this off right here, I can lift that arm off to the knuckle and pull that diff out. Let's see if I'm right. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Here we go. And there's the other diff. Put that aside for now. Okay, let's see. Let me put this over here so I can keep the diffs in the screen. There's one. May not have enough room. Let's see. Is that better? Yeah, that takes up less space. This is a gunsmithing block. It actually comes in very handy. And here's the other one. It won't fit, but there you go. So I keep those in the shot. Let me take out those dog bones so I don't lose them. I'm changing these dog bones out, as you saw in the parts intro video, to universals. Only doing the front right now. If I think there's going to be a lot of benefit out of it, I might do it to the rear as well. But so far, I'm only going to do the front. All right, let's see. Let me put this back together so I don't lose it. I'm actually also replacing these. You can see them in there right now. They're plastic, the suspension ball that rotates. I have, like I showed in the first video, I bought the low friction ones. And I'm going to be putting that in there as well. Let's see. Okay, that's tight enough. Okay, see, it wasn't terribly painful. I probably took out a few more screws than I needed to. So just as I demonstrated, taking out the diffs on the TT-02 is not that challenging. I think if I can do that, all I needed to do was remove 4 screws, maybe on one side, probably 8 total, and then I took a pin off the back and this screw right, and this is probably a pin as well, and I was able to lift them out and stow them away. So pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I'm gonna put this aside. All right, let's look at the diffs. Okay, let's look at one. So the top here has 4 screws, and then let me scroll to the diff building page. So we have a reference in the background here. Building the diff is the first step, I believe, to... Actually, the drive shaft was the first step, and the diff follows shortly after. So step 6 is building the diff. I don't know if you guys can see that in the back. Let me get a little, angle that up a little bit. So all it is just 4 screws holding this together on top here. And then I will be able to disassemble it and clean it out and replace the fluid that's inside. Hopefully I don't have any damage to the gears, which I don't anticipate. But you never know, maybe the O-ring is worn out, need to replace that. We'll see as soon as I open it. This screwdriver should be fine enough. It is not. So I will bring out my finer tip screw set. So this video actually should have said in the beginning that you will need a finer point screwdriver. Let's see. I have this kit right here. I have this kind of hobby screwdriver from Oriya. I got that on Amazon. I think it was like 15 bucks. It has a bunch of different bits, and so let's see if I can use this and get it out. Yep, that's the right size. There's one. I definitely want to keep these screws apart from the others. And pan down. Okay, in case anybody was curious, that bit was a J1 bit. Let's see. All right, okay. And those are the gears. You can see the fluid is a little bit, let me wipe it off and you can tell. The fluid is a little bit dirty, so I'm glad I'm rebuilding these. Let's see. It's not too bad. It's still pretty clear. It's just got this grayness to it. So it's not too bad. So let me just dry it off a little bit. All right, I'll put that aside. And you can see the fluid inside. It is a little bit more mucky. Let's see if I can get that out. I probably just need to put the paper towel in there. Alrighty. Alright, see, it's gray. It's not terrible. It's a little bit dirty. Let me go ahead and lift that gear out. And I'll use my tweezers. There it is. I have no place to put it. Let's put it in the paper towel. Alrighty. Let's see. Huh. This diff, I was thinking I built it wrong, but this diff only has 2 gears. There's only one set of these, so there's only one set of this dumbbell looking gear set in there. Usually I see 2, but not for this kit. Okay. Okay, that's more or less dry. Okay. get all that out there. And there's another, I believe that's a sun gear. And let's see if I can lift that out of there. Let's see, if not, I'll just shake it out. Let's see if I can shake it out, because I know it just gets dropped in. Well, it's not budging. I'm wondering if probably have to pry it off from the side, maybe. No place for me to grab onto to lift it. I think the oil is, the fluid that's in there right now is, there's a little bit of a suction effect and it's holding it in. Okay, I was able to pry it off from the side there, and then I lift it out. So in case you're doing this along with me, the trick was to kind of go in here from, you know, a top or a bottom groove and just kind of dig it out. If you built this, you know there's a pin and a 8mm O-ring, and there's so much fluid in here I can't really see where I have enough room to lift this out. Maybe from the corner. Let's see. Can I lift this out? Okay, there you go. There's that pin. Definitely don't lose that. And this is probably going to get messy, so let me get another paper towel. As soon as I lift this out, all that fluid is going to spill out. So here's the pin. That's the out drive. So let me drain that. What I really want to get to, the only reason I did that was to take out this bearing. Doesn't look terribly dirty. It's pretty frictionless still. But I'm going to replace this, and I'm probably just going to clean this out and use it for a next model, or if I have a future build, TT-02, that's going to be a shelf queen. I might just reuse these old ones. It's not going to go on the ground. I can still see a little bit of gunk and dirt in there, but it's still in reasonably good shape. Okay. And if I wasn't racing with this car, I probably wouldn't bother taking them out. Hope I didn't lose that pin. There it is. So let's dry that out as much as possible. Let's see. I think I can get this gear off. Yep. And there's another pin right there. I don't need, nope, there's another bearing right here. Same thing. There's a little bit of dirt on the outside. And like I said, I'll probably just reuse those for another build. All right. I'm not going to remove that little gasket. It looks like it's in decent shape. I'll probably just wipe it off. Okay, that looks like it's in pretty good shape. So the parts I am going to be dunking are these gears, these pins, and these two planetary gears and the shaft. So let's see, anything else? The out drives, I will just clean those off. This is plastic, so I'm not going to be dunking that. This gear is also plastic. I'm not going to be dunking that. So I think that's it. So these are all the gears that are going to be be soaking in the nitro cleaner for about a couple hours. And that should do it for how to disassemble, how to take out the diffs, and also how to disassemble them. So I'm going to cut it right here, and hopefully I can come back after I've done this and rebuild them. All right, I'm back. So after about an hour and a half of soaking and drying these gears, everything's clean. I took a paper towel and I dipped it into the nitro cleaner and I wiped off the rest of the part. One of the things I didn't show before was this little rubber O-ring that's inside here, right there. I took all 4 of them out and I looked through them, looked at them thoroughly to make sure that there isn't any cracks or chafing, so that just in case, you want to do that as well. If there's a crack in them or they're broken, you want to replace them so your diffs don't leak. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and reassemble this. I have the instructions on a monitor in front of me. It's pretty straightforward. I do need to grease this, so I have some. I have a tube of Traxxas high performance grease here, probably left over from a Stampede build back in maybe last year. Don't need to put a lot. Just put a little dab and then just spread it. All right, well, that's probably a little too much. Alrighty. Oops, I forgot the bearing. Like I said, I'm going to replace all the bearings. So here are the bearings right here. And the bearings on the diff are 8x12 by 3.5. In case you were wondering and you only wanted to buy the bearings for this. Alrighty, the bearing goes here. And the out drive goes in. Push the O-ring up and out. So I got to push that back down. And then I need to work the pin back in. So it's very handy to have these angle tweezers. If you don't, this might be very, very difficult. And I think good lighting would also help. Some kind of directional lighting will help you see that there's a, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a hole, and that's where the pin would go. Let's see if I can move the lighting a little bit closer. Alrighty. So you take a pin and let me try to start it. I can't even see it right now. Let's see. Okay, I have it in there. I'm going to try to turn it to a corner. Yeah, this is going to be difficult. I remember building these, that's why I didn't want to take them out. But unfortunately I had to replace the bearings. Whoops. All right. Let's turn that a little bit. I'll turn it this way. So there's room for that pin and it drops right into the center. Just like that. And then I would drop this gear, and you notice that the pin needs to run flush with this groove there. So let me just drop it in, and I got lucky and it dropped right in there flush, just like that. And then the second part are these 2 gears, and the gears point in on the shaft here. And you just leave just a little bit of at the end of the shaft, and that gives you room to fit into the case. And you'd have to do the same on the other side, and then you just drop the gears in there, and once you get them in there, they'll kind of sit properly themselves. Okay, so this is going to be, I think I said this is going to be the rear diff. So let me go ahead and fill this. And you don't have to fill it all the way. You only have to fill it to just slightly above the gear. Let me just, and that's been my experience. Yep, just halfway up the gear. And before you squeeze these bottles to death, oh, this one doesn't have it. Some of the team associated bottles have a cap inside. I've literally tried to squeeze the heck out of one of these bottles, not knowing there was a cap inside. It was very frustrating. So that's just a tip. All right, so put it on this flat, smooth surface. And the manual says just to fill it halfway up the gears, like so. Maybe a little bit more. I think you guys can see that. Alrighty. Okay. Just a dab more. Alright. Okay. Make sure everything still turns freely. That's good. Alright. Let's see. So I need to do the same on the other one here, on the top here. So this one, the gasket stayed with the gear. This one, the gasket stayed with the case. So I want to make sure that I use this one for this case here. So I need to rebuild this outdrive. Need to put a little grease on the outdrive here. Not too much. And put that back on. Keeps pushing out the O-ring, but that's okay. I can use my fingers. Push that back down. This is going to be much easier. I'll still use tweezers though. Alright. There you go. Goes right back in. Okay. And I throw the pin on top, the gear on top. Flush. It's perfect. And spin smoothly. So there's an index here. And there's a cutout on all four sides of the case. And I just need to make sure that's indexed correctly. And the screw holes lined up. Alright, here we go. Probably easier if I lift this. Yeah, let me make sure the gear's in there. I think the gear's in there, but just let me double check. Yeah, it's spinning. It feels pretty good. So I'm going to assume it fell in properly. Otherwise, it wouldn't close completely anyway. Okay. Looks like it's seated okay. So let me put these back on. And you want to go in a crisscross pattern with the screws. You don't want to go ahead and tighten them just yet. You don't want to go 1, 2, 3, 4 sequentially like this. You want to go across and kind of put these in a cross pattern and zigzag back to the left here. And the last one. Alright, so let me start over here, then over here, then over here, and over here, and let me just double check all of them. Give it a final quarter turn. You don't want to go crazy on these. You don't want to break it. It is metal on plastic after all. All right, and there's one rebuilt diff, and this is going to be the one in front. You can see that how I'm not using much force at all. It spins fairly freely, and I forgot the bearing. It's okay. You guys get to watch me make mistakes so you don't have to, and rebuild these. So don't be intimidated. This is a pretty easy job. Even if you're new to RC, it's just basic. Just screws and that's it. All right, let me lift this back off. That's easier said than done, actually. Got a pretty good seal on it somehow. There it goes. All right. Let me take this gear off. Take that pin out with a pair of tweezers. I was worried about greasing this out drive. I forgot the gear. I forgot the bearing. All right. So let me get everything dirty. Here's the bearing. There we go. There you go. Seat the O-ring again. All the way in. Put that pin back in. And that O-ring isn't seated all the way, and I don't want to break it. There it goes. Let me get this gear on there and make sure it's flush, make sure it's indexed. I can see clearly, and drop that in there. There we go. That's seated pretty good. You wipe off my fingers a little bit. Just scoot this up. All right, and put those screws back on. And I'm going to go ahead and timestamp this so that if you want to learn how to take the diffs out, you can. If you want to learn how to take a diff apart, you can. And if you want to learn how to put it back together, you can. You don't have to watch the whole video. It looks like the video is going to run to about maybe 45 minutes, and I didn't do what I was hoping to do, which is to tighten these in a crisscross pattern. But I'll do that now. There you go. Okay, back to this one. Quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, a little bit quarter turn. All right, there we go. Again, notice how this is pretty easy to turn. It's free, and that's because it's filled with 3,000 weight fluid. And so let's go ahead and rebuild one with clay and see the difference. Let me put away the, actually I still need the grease. Let's see. All right, it's the same start. First thing I should do is take out the bearings, so I don't forget that. Let me go ahead and put them on. There we go. And let me take an out drive and push those down. Let me seat that properly. This is not going to be easy. I can't really see, but let's try it. Oop, picked up a hair. Alrighty. Okay. There we go. Nope, nope, missed it. Missed it again. Oh, completely dropped. Let's try this one first, and then we'll go find that one. I lost that one too. Okay. Hey, I'm back. I found the pin using my magnet, and let me see if I can find the correct angle here to place the pin. I think it's a matter of lighting at this point. Okay, there it is. Okay, I got it in there, and there you go, it's seated. And let me go ahead and throw the gear inside. If it doesn't seat right away, just turn it. There you go. It's seated now. And this one I'm going to put putty inside. So this is Exceed Cleaning Gum. I believe there are other brands that achieve the same thing. This is just what the local hobby shop had. So I don't know if this is exactly like modeling clay, but it sure feels like it. It's actually very, very tacky. Let me zoom out a little bit here. It's actually very tacky. I think you can see that. And all you need is a little pinch. You don't need much. All you need is a little pinch to fill up the gear, and that's all you need. So this is about, I would say, half an inch. This is about a half an inch diameter a ball. And actually, before I drop that in there, I need to drop the other gears in there. Zoom back in a little bit. All right. I need to drop these back in there. Make sure that's seated properly. It's not. Okay. There you go. And I'm going to drop the putty in there and kind of stuff it. And that's going to act as a very, very thick viscosity diff fluid. And make sure I don't get into the other surfaces here and get in the way of it sealing. So you need to be a little bit careful. Alright, there you go. Bearing's already there, out drive's right here. The pin is somewhere over here. And this one should be easy. And here's the gear. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm not missing anything, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that in there. Let me turn this. Nope, 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 nope. Let's try it again. Oh, the gasket finally decided it wanted to move. Let me put that back in. Let me try again. Let me try putting the case onto the gear, since there's no fluids in here. Let's see. Okay. There we go. Let me tighten these screws up and I'll show you the difference between using putty and diff fluid. Again, crisscross pattern. Okay, so let me start on the top here, the bottom, the left, and the right. And then go back and give it a little quarter half turn here. All right. Okay. There you go. And this one is built with the putty inside, and there is a lot more resistance. So this is essentially acting as a lock diff, and only under most extreme circumstances on a track will this diff allow the one wheel to spin faster than the other. So there you go, I rebuilt the diff. So let me clean up here and then I'll bring back the chassis and put them back in. Okay, so right now we're looking at the front diff case, looking down into it. It's a little bit greasy, so I'll go ahead and wipe it off a little bit, and I'll put some fresh grease in there. But I already dropped it in there and I wanted to point this out. And it's the purpose, what I went through in the first video, why I'm doing this. So it goes in this direction. Now, that's how it goes in. If you notice, let me hold the shaft. If you notice, there is just, you can probably see it or even hear it, just a little tiny bit of play. I wouldn't even call this slop. I would just, this is just, there's so little. I would say maybe 0.5 millimeter of play in here. So as I said in the previous video, for a race car, I really want to eliminate even this tiny tolerance here. So what I'm going to do is take the diff apart, and I'm going to put a shim right there so that it pushes the diff just a little bit to that side. So it'll sit like that. So you don't want to shim all of the tolerance out so that it's completely stuck. But I think I can do just a little bit better. So I can get a little bit better performance out of this front drive shaft here. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I got one shim in there, and I put it on this side. It's very hard to see, but it's in between the bearing and the diff body, and it was a 0.1 millimeter thick shim, and the size was an 8 by 10 millimeter shim. It was this one, and it was a 0.1 millimeter thick shim. I tried a 0.3, tried a 0.2, the diff literally wouldn't go back in there. So this was just perfect. There is no longer that rattling, that play. This is going to run very smoothly. It's going to give it, taking out that slop, that little bit of rattle is going to do wonders. So let's see, am I going to put this back together? I am not going to put this back together all the way, because one of the things I want to do is go ahead and remove the drive shaft and change out the bearings. So in the meantime, I'm just going to pop in a couple screws just to hold it down, and so I don't lose any parts. Fortunately, this particular car, a lot of the screws are the same size, so I can just grab whatever was in the bucket and it will work. So I'm putting one at the back of the diff case, diff cover, and one in the front. If you were just rebuilding the diffs and you want to put the car back together, of course you have to put all the screws back. And I will worry about the dog bones later. I just don't want this dangling here. So let me get this back on, and then let me worry about the back diff. Okay. Alrighty, so let's look at the back. Probably going to go through the same shimming process here. Hey, I'm over here at the rear diff now, and you can see that it's going to have kind of the same, just a little bit of slop in the rear. So I'm going to go ahead and shim this as well, just right there. Put probably a 0.3 shim right there in between the bearing and the gear. So I'm not going to go through this again and show you how I put it back together. In my next video, I think I'm going to work on the drive shaft, and if I didn't already have a high-speed gear set, I would need to swap that out. But I am going to take it apart and put in a 64-tooth spur gear. So that'll be the next video, and I'll see if there's anything else related to the drive system before I close it back up. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. And please give me your feedback below. If you want to see anything, if you have any tips for me on how to put a diff together, take it apart, any other tips on the TT-02, I'd appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. Thanks for watching.